ancient Greek Apollodorus is clear in what he wrote. When a year lasted 8 of today's Earth years, where that planet was located, what happened to it? Many myths described by ancient Greek writers hid in them details that were overlooked. We know their surface, but almost no one looked between the lines and what the poet wanted to say. Several myths have been shown to describe a reality completely different from what we could perceive. Perhaps the same is true in this case. This is what we read in Alpheus Potamos. Apollodorus' library. Kadmos, because he had killed the Spartans, served next to Mars for a year. The year then corresponded to 8 of today's Earth years. Okay? Now, let's remember that I have a playlist of the Emerald Tablets written by Thoth the Atlantean, and Thoth very clearly describes the very high technology that they had. They even had interstellar travel and also interdimensional travel. They could flip from one dimension to another, and they were abusing their technology to the detriment of their own people, because they were using it against the detriment of humanity. And he said that it was a matter of time before the divine spirit put an end to them. Now, he claims that one of the generals and his entourage was exiled on the planet Mars. The general was buried under a face, and the generals of the entourage were buried under pyramids near the face. And we know that in the Cydonia area of Mars, we have the Mars face and the pyramids right next to it. He says they put the face there so that as Atlanteans were traveling and passed Mars, they could very easily see where the tomb of that exiled general was, and his exiled generals, his entourage. So they could see it from space. Now, Kadmos, the myth says, because he killed the Spartans, served next to Mars for a year. The year corresponded to 8 years of today. Apollodorus lived from about 180 BC up to 110 BC. The measurement of time 2,150 years ago was about the same as today. But when Apollodorus writes that in the time that Kadmos lived, 1 year corresponded to 8 of his time of Earth years, and therefore of today, making your calculations, many questions will arise. 3 of them are these. 1. How did Apollodorus know the timing of the distant past? 2. When did Kadmos live, who in fact served his term for 1 year next to the god Mars? C. Do we finally have to accept as truth everything that refers to Greek mystery? Now, from the Alpheus Potamos, we take the baton, the relay race, and continue with the reasoning of this. We ponder at first if the Earth ever had an orbital period of 8 years. It's also interesting to try to locate if there is another planet in our solar system with an 8-year Earth period of orbit around the Sun. Circulation periods. Mercury takes 87,929 days, Earth days. Venus takes 224.7 Earth days. Earth takes 365.25 Earth days, or 1 year, 1 Earth year. Mars takes 1.88 Earth years. Jupiter takes 11.86 Earth years. And Saturn takes 29.65 Earth years. So what was between Mars, which is almost 2 Earth years, and Jupiter, which is almost 12 Earth years? Already from Zeus onwards, we have exceeded the limit of 8 years, from Zeus meaning Jupiter. However, there is also the asteroid belt, which is located between Mars and Jupiter. There it is said that there was a planet that, for unknown reason, disintegrated, and in its place were left its pieces of the asteroids, and the planet we call Phethon. And if we read that, quote, the orbits of most asteroids are almost circular, they form a slight inclination to the ecliptic, but most have periods of orbit around the sun from 3 to 7 years, while some have periods of up to 12 years. Could we argue that the hypothetical planet Phaethon, if it existed as a normal celestial body, would have had an average orbital period of about 8 Earth years? Perhaps someone more astronomical could dismiss it or even consider it quite possible. In any case, if one period of orbit for the year of Cadmus lasted 8 years, then we can speculate either that the Earth once orbited the Sun in 8 years, or that Cadmus served his term for 1 year next to the planet Mars, that is, to the hypothetical planet Phaethon, and so Apollodorus described everything just fine. In any case, we can easily understand that nowadays time may be miscalculated in relation to the distant past. I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.